You know, our young people are our next generation, our future. It's so important for us to really support them and to engage with them and share with them our gifts and our talents as a seed planted in them so that they can develop and be nourished and brought to fruitfulness and enjoy creative expression through the performing arts. That creative opportunity is vital to our mental health, our spiritual health, and for that of those around us. Music and dance, theater, as well as the visual arts are all expressions of our inner soul. And we need to do what we can to help young people develop in that way. Our mentoring program teaches young students ages 5 through teenagers about musical theater and giving them performing arts opportunities, such as the show coming up Wednesday, October 21st at 7 p.m. at New Covenant Church. Our kids are doing Annie, and they're doing a spectacular job. The classes are presented in a big wide open gymnasium where it's very spacious and we practice social distancing, and it's quite safe, what we call safe singing. And it's important to keep singing, to keep making music, and not make our young people feel that they have to be silenced, like literally their mouth is covered with a mask, but give them the opportunity in a safe environment, of course, to express themselves, to use their gifts, and to perform, expressing creatively what's going on inside. And fear and depression and anger, all of those things are just blown out literally when we sing, and when we're singing joyful, positive music and expressing wonderful stories like Annie and our Christmas show coming up for our young people. So we just like to share with you some of the comments and experiences of our young people backstage.
The best thing about being in the show was that I got to be a gymnast, and my character was the best character. I had a wonderful teacher and wonderful mates to be here with me and dance.
Send Lazarus to my father's house to warn my family.
They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them.
You say I'm strong, but I think I'm weak. You say I'm held, but I am full of joy. When I don't belong, oh, you say I'm yours.
Backstage, walking up to get ready to start our show. Everyone is extraordinarily excited. We're backstage. We're backstage. We're ready to go on.
Yeah.
Are you excited about going on? Yes. We're waiting to go on, right? Yeah. It's very exciting.
We cannot run from your love. You search me and know my heart. If I climb to the heights, you'll be there. If I make my bed in hell, you'll lead me.
Why do you like being in the show?
Because it's like really fun to like perform in front of like an audience. And it's like I was born to like do this stuff.
You were
There's
born
always
to
a
be
big audience after
in a
work.
show. Why would you be in a show?
It makes people feel good.
Right. The soft palate is what's important when you're singing. The soft palate is in the very back of your mouth, and you can really be aware of it when you yawn, when you're lifting high in the back. And that's how we get a nice high sound and center in the pitch up into the top of your head. So every time you take a breath, I want you to lift in the soft palate so you feel like the inside of your mouth is as high as the ceiling of this beautiful cathedral. Do you know how special you are to God? He's given you an extraordinary gift as a singer. I used to think everyone could sing, but everyone has a different gift. Not everyone has the gift that you do. Your voice is unique and amazing and gorgeous. Use it, practice, rehearse, perform. Share that gift as often as you can. It's a blessing, and it blesses others. Your voice has the power to heal, to lift people out of sadness and depression. Your voice is amazing. It fills people with joy.
I'm sorry, hold on. I think it's take number 12. There's a leaf blower in the background. Shut up, the blind fool. Shut up, you blind fool.
It's a very rainy day today, but we want to come outside and I'd like you to see the garden, what's left of the garden now in the autumn, where the green peppers and tomatoes came from for the recipes that we're using today. As well, this is the kale and the bib lettuce that are still coming along, and they are just still blooming and they're not affected by the frost, at least not so far. We've still got green peppers coming, and these green pepper plants just won't quit. The tomatoes are looking a bit sad. This is what's left of a very prosperous summer for the tomato plants. Today we're going to make 2 autumn dishes. The first is a sauteed potato with some garden vegetables, and next we're going to make southern fried apples. But the first thing I'm going to do is to prepare a lot of things ahead of time. We're going to dice up these potatoes, and we're going to make them in advance in bite-sized pieces, and then parboil them so that when we saute them with the other vegetables, they won't be hard and nasty. So we're going to let them boil, and in the meantime, I'm going to prepare the other vegetables, including chopping some onions and some tomatoes from the garden that just will not turn red. So we're going to use them anyways because they're pretty good, as well as adding some of our beautiful green peppers from the garden. Chopping them up in nice diced small pieces and adding them in slow motion to our mix. After we've got our potatoes boiling, we're going to test them, make sure they're soft, and then put them aside for later to use them in the mix. We'll just dump them in this colander and they'll be ready for later on when we want to use them. In the meantime, I'm chopping some tomatoes, and in spite of being not quite red on the outside, they're gorgeous on the inside. This particular tomato really turned red, but they smell wonderful and fresh. So I'm putting all of my ingredients in little bowls to the side, so later I can just dump that in and put them all together. We're going to add some oil, virgin olive oil, and heat that up, adding our onions and green peppers first to get them softened and cook them nice in the oil. Next, I'm going to add some garlic, and this is one of my favorite kitchen tricks, is to get garlic in a jar that's already been minced up, and that way it's easy to just toss it into our vegetables. I'm adding the tomatoes and just stirring this up, mixing it into the olive oil, and all of this is getting nice and hot and tender as it cooks on the top of the stove. And so this is going to be delicious. We're going to let it simmer for quite a while and then add the potatoes. These, again, have already been boiled, so they're nice and tender as we're mixing this all together. But we do want to add a little bit of zing to this mixture, so we're going to use some Montreal steak sauce. I don't mean sauce. We're adding this Montreal powder because it's going to add a nice zing, and just let this really cook for about 30 to 45 minutes to get all of these delicious flavors all together. So we want to create a side dish because we're having pork chops, and instead of applesauce, we're going to make a wonderful fried apple, which is a southern dish, using our awesome apple core peeler slicer machine, which I've used before to make apple pie. And this is a machine from the late 1800s that is a manual machine, but it does an awesome job of peeling the apples and slicing them and taking the core out all at the same time. This saves a lot of time from doing this with a peeler and a knife by hand. So this is so amazing and so awesome. It really is great. And it will take them into a spiral, but we want them in slices, so the only thing you really have to do extra is slice everything in half, and it makes it so easy. That was so awesome. We're going to watch the whole thing again in slow motion. What an amazing device. 1 whole stick of butter, that's a half a cup of butter, melted in a large pan. And we're gonna toss these apples in. And you can see that the apple core peeler slicer doesn't do a perfect job of taking all the peels off, but that's okay because we like a little bit of peel in there. So this is going to simmer in this hot butter for about 30 minutes, and I'm going to add not a whole lot. I'm going to add about a 1/2 to 3/4 cup of sugar with an 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg. Nutmeg is pretty powerful, so I like to be very conservative using it. And so we're going to dump that in there, and I put 2 cinnamon sticks in to add a little flavor from that as well. We're going to stir that sugar in and just toss it into the apples to get that a little bit sweeter than that tart Granny Smith apple. So for this recipe, I wanted to make a good batch. So as you can see, this is a gorgeous side dish of the potatoes and the southern fried apples that goes perfectly with our pork chops. Enjoy!